The daily commute is such an ingrained part of modern life that we rarely stop to consider its health implications. But research into cardiovascular event timing reveals something striking. Heart attack rates during winter morning commutes are 69% higher than during summer commutes. This isn't simply because it's winter, it's because commuting combines and concentrates multiple cardiovascular stressors into a narrow time window during already high-risk morning hours. Understanding these converging risks can help commuters make choices that reduce their vulnerability. Let's walk through the typical winter morning commute. You wake up in the high-risk hours we've discussed, with cortisol surging and blood maximally coagulable. You rush through morning activities, perhaps skip breakfast, certainly feeling the time pressure that modern work demands. You step outside into cold air, experiencing that vascular shock of temperature transition. You walk to your car or public transit, breathing cold air that constricts coronary arteries. If you drive, your car is cold, requiring several minutes to warm up, during which you're sitting in a confined cold space. Traffic stress begins even before you encounter actual congestion. The anticipation of potential delays, the awareness that you're cutting it close, the knowledge that being late has consequences, these psychological stressors activate your sympathetic nervous system. Adrenaline and cortisol increase further. Blood pressure rises. When you do encounter traffic delays or aggressive drivers, the acute stress response intensifies. Studies measuring real-time physiological responses show dramatic elevations in heart rate and blood pressure during stressful driving situations. Air pollution adds another dimension to commuter cardiovascular risk, particularly in winter. Cold weather creates temperature inversions, atmospheric conditions where pollutants get trapped close to ground level rather than dispersing. Vehicle exhaust, particularly diesel particles, accumulates along roadways. These fine particulate matter particles, smaller than 2.5 microns, penetrate deep into lungs and trigger inflammatory responses. They increase blood coagulability and can trigger acute coronary events. The concentration of pollutants is highest during morning rush hour, precisely when traffic is heaviest and you're sitting in it. Inside vehicles, carbon monoxide from your own exhaust or other vehicles can accumulate, especially in congested traffic. Carbon monoxide binds to hemoglobin more readily than oxygen, reducing your blood's oxygen-carrying capacity. For someone with coronary artery disease, this reduction in oxygen delivery to heart muscle, combined with the increased cardiac demand from stress, creates dangerous mismatch between supply and demand. Public transit commuters aren't exempt from these risks. Standing in cold weather waiting for buses or trains provides sustained cold exposure. Crowded transit vehicles during flu season increase infection risk, which we'll discuss as its own cardiovascular threat. The stress of crowded conditions, schedule uncertainty, and the physical exertion of navigating stairs and crowds all contribute to cardiovascular burden. What can commuters do to protect themselves? Workplace flexibility represents the most effective intervention. If your job allows flexible start times, avoiding the peak 6 to 10 a.m. window reduces cardiovascular risk substantially. Starting work at 10 or 10:30 might seem like a minor change, but from a cardiac risk perspective, it's moving from the highest risk period to a much safer time. Remote work, even partial, eliminates commute stress entirely on those days. For those without schedule flexibility, practical measures help. Pre-warming your car or allowing more warm-up time before driving reduces cold exposure stress. Building extra time into your commute reduces time pressure and stress reactivity. Stress management techniques, deep breathing exercises during traffic, listening to calming music rather than inflammatory talk radio. These sound trivial, but they measurably reduce physiological stress responses. For those with known cardiovascular disease, discussing commute risks with your cardiologist might lead to medication timing adjustments, taking morning doses earlier to provide protection during the commute. The broader message is that we need to recognize commuting as a health hazard, not just an inconvenience. Urban planning that reduces commute times, public policy supporting flexible work arrangements, and individual awareness of cardiovascular vulnerability during winter commutes. All these contribute to reducing this preventable source of heart attacks and strokes.